welcome back guys, thanks for joining me for another beer review. Hope you're all good. In this one we are heading off back over to that machine there, the Perfect Draft Pro, and it's a bit of a re-review if you like, of a beer that obviously I've reviewed before, otherwise it wouldn't be a re-review. But it's a beer that I've liked for a long time, and the one we are looking at is from an American brewery, and it's Goose Island, and we're going to be looking at their standard IPA, not the Midway one, the standard Goose Island IPA that comes in at 5.9%. Reviewed it at least, it's got to be 2 years ago since I reviewed it. Loved the beer then. I've drunk it on and off in pubs and what have you, but I've only ever had it out of this machine. I think when I reviewed it, I don't think I've done it since. Might have had it beforehand, but since I've reviewed it, this is the first time I've managed to get another keg, because all the new releases and everything, like, you end up trying to get them, and the way they've released beers recently, it's last couple of years, it's been a bit mental. So I've only just got round to ordering another keg. Back in the day when I did first do it, I think the keg was £32.50 back in the day. We are now looking at £39.90. I think I got it with 15% off, but that's disappeared now, so it's kind of irrelevant. But 15% off that, about 11 quid off by the time your discounts come off and your keg returns. That would have brought it in at about 28 quid. Now it's coming at pretty much 35 quid a keg, because you don't get the discounts unless they do a special offer. And with it being on the Perfect Draft Pro, it's going to be set at 6 degrees, which is the recommended temperature, rather than the 3 degrees that the standard Perfect Draft gives you the beer at. So any second now. What I will say is I've had 1 or 2 pints out of it already. So I do know what it's like, but I'm going to do a video of the pour anyway, and obviously I'm going to tell you what I think of it. So let's get cracking. So here we go. Like I said, I've had a couple of pints out of it already. Set at 6 degrees. Let's give her a pour and see what we get. There we go. So we're back, beer in a glass. Like I said, I've had a couple of pints out of it, so you don't get that wild pour with all the head. You know, I've managed to avoid that. But even when I first poured it, I think the first pint was something like that, so it wasn't exactly a nightmare. It's a beer in a glass. It's looking a bit hazy. There's a bit of chill haze on the glass, I think. A bit of chill haze on the glass, but it is a light. We'll call it a standard sort of amber, hazy looking IPA. The head has gone in a little bit. Low carbonation going up, not that you can see it again because of the chill haze, but it's just low carbonation going up, slow moving bubbles. The head is going in a little bit, like I said, but it was quite spacious on top to start. It's looking a little bit more compact now. And as I said, it's a beer that I've always enjoyed since I first had it, even before Perfect Draft, when I first ever tried it. It was one of them that I did actually like. And probably since Punk IPA has sort of lost its way, if you ask me, this and Lagunitas are really sort of like, certainly if I go in spoons or something, they're my go-to IPAs. Obviously I'll try new ones, but these ones tend to be nice and solid, and you just know you're going to get a decent drink from them. So yeah, like I say, £39.90, 5.9% for a 6 litre keg. You'll always get your keg return. Discounts are a different kettle of fish nowadays. But yeah, like I say, standard sort of amber looking IPA, slow moving carbonation. The head is going in a bit. Let's give it a sniff. That's good. Malty. There's a nice sort of malty backbone. Hoppy. A little bit of the grapefruit in there. Mango, orange, sort of citrus note. with that, like I say, that little sweet malty hit. Smells nice. Does it smell like it's lost anything? I don't think so. I don't think it feels like it's lost anything. It's maybe not as punchy, but like I said, it's been a while since I've had it, and when I have had it in spoons or anything, it's out of a bottle, and I don't really think of anything then. So it's not been something that I regularly drink. So it could have changed. It could be that my taste buds have changed. Let's stop waffling. Goose Island. IPA, 5.9% from the Perfect Draft Pro, set at 6 degrees. Let's give her a taste. Cheers. Seems quite cold for 6, but let's be honest, 6 degrees is cold. Let's go in again. Body's good. I'm not sure if I feel it's lost something in the body. Probably hasn't. It might just be me. And sometimes I find when the beer's too cold, sometimes it certainly gives the impression to me that it's lost a little bit in the body. Now, like I say, this is set at 6. But it had dropped to 5 last night for some reason. Why it dropped to 5, I don't know. Whether it was struggling to get to the temperature. This door is always sort of shut behind it. So whether it had chilled and it actually, before it registered, it was actually lower than, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it maybe feels like it's lost a little bit in body, but I wouldn't, if it has, it hasn't lost much. For me, you feel the carbonation in there a little bit more, even though there's not loads. Again, from what I recall it being a little bit smoother. But again, I could be wrong. I could be nitpicking. It could just be me that's changed. Carbonation isn't mad in there. It is minimal, but you do feel it. And I tend to find you feel carbonation more when the beer feels light. And I don't recall the beer maybe having as much carbonation in it, but then like I say, the body could be a little bit lighter. So I don't know if it's changed. Certainly hasn't changed in ABV. Still quite smooth to drink though. On the taste, now again, has it changed on taste? I'm not sure. And again, it could just be me because I haven't had it for so long. I'm finding with this, I'm picking up more of a malty backbone. But I'm finding I'm getting that more with a lot of these craft beers now. It's hoppy. I'm not sure it is as hoppy as it used to be. So maybe there is a slight difference in there. Like I say, for me, it was always more of a hoppy beer rather than malty beer. Now I think there's maybe more malt in it. Maybe it has changed, maybe it hasn't again. But I don't feel it feels as hoppy as it used to. Drink it malty, slightly sweet. The hoppiness is there. You get the old G fruit, the old grapefruit that my mate Danny enjoys so much. Gentle bitterness, it's not too strong on the bitterness. And again, I always remember this beer being a lot more bitter. But over time, I am drinking so many different beers now. IPAs are just my sort of standard sort of beer now that I like drinking. I do like lager still, but back then I was probably, pardon me, certainly when I tried the bottles or the cans, I was just trying them then. Probably when I reviewed this on keg, and it could be longer than 2 years ago, I was probably still quite new to it. Now I'm used to a lot more bitter beers. West Coast I never used to like, whereas I like them now. Certainly more way more than I used to. So it could just be that is the reason why this doesn't feel as bitter. It could just be my taste buds. But like I say, malty, hoppy, grapefruit. Gentle bitterness. A little bit pithy in there as well. You got that sort of orange pithy sort of bitterness, I'm going to say, with the grapefruit. But yeah, it's still a very decent drop. And I like this because it's a sit down, sit back, don't think about it kind of beer. Yeah, I can do all this shit on YouTube. Look at it, analyse it if you like. But what I like about it is one of them that's full of flavour, full of taste and a decent beer. But it's also one of them you can just sit back and chuck down your neck. All right, I'm not saying have 15 pints of Goose Island of 5.9%, not even 10 maybe. Not even probably 8. No, my standard, 5 pints and I'd be, you know, a bit of a mess. But it's one of them that is just enjoyable. It's not a shit beer that you chuck down your neck. It's a craft beer that you don't have to think about and still enjoy. There's enough flavour in there, but it's a nice, easy-going sort of suppable beer. And that's always been the reason why I like it. So, do I think the beer has changed? Possibly. It's possibly changed a touch. I think the general beer is pretty much the same as it always was. Granted, I've got it set at 6 degrees. Is it 6 degrees? I don't know. It could be. It could be. I don't know. But yeah, it's still an enjoyable drop. If I'm going to be arsed, I'm going to say I think it has changed and it's maybe just not quite as good as it was, but it's still an enjoyable beer. Is it worth 40 quid? To be honest, is any beer worth, 6 litres of beer worth 40 quid? I suppose there are limits to the ABV, but I mean, I've just come back off holiday. When we went to Heathrow, I was paying £7.50 a pint. Stella Unfiltered, £7.50. Camden Hell, £7.50 a pint. Right? Buy it on this machine, and you can get Stella Unfiltered on this machine. It's brewed in the UK as well. Camden Hell's obviously brewed in the UK. They come in at about £2.50 a pint on this machine. Now, granted, not every pub is going to be selling a beer at £7.50, but when you look at what airports are charging, even without the 15% discount, and it pains me to say it pains me like stabbing me in the back to say it, this is still better value without that 15% than the bloody airports. I mean, hang on, let me think about it. I'm waffling on this one. 39, it's 35 quid, £10. So you're paying £3.50 for a Goose Island without any discounts. Without any discounts. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. So, but if you was to go into a pub, any pub, I reckon, buying a pint of this in any pub, if a pub you're going to find it in, you're going to be paying £5 a pint. I think years ago when I first ever had it, I went to a do, and I'm certain then, and we are talking maybe when I first ever, I don't know, five years ago. I think I went to a place in Shrewsbury and they were charging £4.90 a pint then. Now, since then, we've left the EU, we've had COVID, we've got all this Russia shit going on that has probably affected prices. We've got electricity bills going up. This same pint, I bet if you adjusted the price of this pint to today's rates, in that same place, you'd probably be paying a tenner. So when you look at £3.50 for a decent beer with decent ABV, yeah, granted at home, you're still getting it's still fairly priced compared to pubs. Yeah, still expensive, but hey ho. But anyway, let's shut up waffling on. Goose Island IPA, perfect draft, or on the Pro in this case. Still a decent beer. Has it changed? Quite possibly. But would I drink it again? Definitely. I won't have any trouble getting rid of this beer. If you've never had it, give it a go. It's available in supermarkets and everything. So if you don't want that big layout initially before you try it, go in the supermarket. It's probably still about £2.20, £2.30, maybe even £2.50 a bottle for a smaller bottle in the supermarkets. Granted, yeah, you'll get discounts, won't you? But yeah, if you want to do it that way, give it a try there. If not, just dive in, order yourself a keg. It's a great beer. Won't wow you, but what it will do is just give you a lovely drink. So there you go. If you've had the beer before, let me know what you think. If you've had it in the past, had it now, if you think it's changed, let me know your thoughts on that. And that's it. So I'm going to leave you all in peace. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you again soon on another one. Cheers.